John's a chance of getting a few reinforcements back this week. Looks like Rory and Matt are both tests.
Yeah, well, look, we're really hopeful on both those guys. We've got training tomorrow, so we'll see how they pull up from there. But indications are positive.
How are they looking, especially I suppose Rory, given he was a late scratching from Friday night?
Yeah, well, we took the opportunity last week. We felt like he wasn't, as I said last week, he wasn't free enough and wasn't past that foot issue to be able to play the level he's capable of. So it'll be a question for him tomorrow of getting up and going, and not only straight line but change the direction as well to make sure that foot's healed. And if it has, then we'll play him. If it hasn't, he'll need some more time.
And Matt, how's that hamstring?
Yeah, he trained on through the weekend really well. Completed his session he did on Saturday. Did some work with us yesterday, and he'll train fully tomorrow. And gets through that, then he's available.
Be cautious with either of those two, Don?
We'll always be cautious where appropriate. But again, if they present and they're both fine, then they'll play.
If it's a line ball between, say, Murphy and Gallucci, do you stick with the player who was part of that winning side last week?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's probably one which will be posed at match committee. I mean, obviously the three guys who came in last week and played forward in Knight, Gallucci and Pyke all played. I thought they played their role really well. They impacted the game when they needed to and brought some real energy to our forward line. So yeah, we'll weigh that up after training tomorrow. We'll see how we get through training, and it'll be a good discussion.
And how's Curtly Hampton going? He's obviously a late withdrawal from the game up in Sydney.
Yeah, look, he just had a little bit of groin tightness, which, when you get that the day before the game, it's always a bit of a risk, and we elected not to risk him. So look, he'll come back. He's had a scan. There's something minor there, which he'd be unlikely for this week, and we'll try and get that settled down. It's the second time this year he's had something in that space, so we'll probably give him a break this week.
You've had 3 players now pull out after the training session the day before a game. I think Sam Gibson, Lockie Murphy, and Curtly Hampton.
Do we have Lockie?
Lockie round 4 against Collingwood, I think the day before.
Oh, okay. And that's a little bit of the consequence of some shorter breaks and Friday night games. It's a little bit in amongst that. It's not ideal for us, obviously, but when you get a 6-day break or even a 7-day at times, and you're getting guys to the line, sometimes you just don't know until they get up and go in that last session. So certainly not ideal for us. Certainly didn't go to Sydney planning on not having Curtly available for the game, but these things happen.
Given the number of soft tissue injuries you've had, hamstrings and stuff like that, do you have to sort of reassess and review sort of your training?
We're constantly assessing our the program around a number of things, around load, around speed levels, training intensity and volume, and those things. That's ongoing. That happens in any course through any season. And at the moment, it's our turn. We've had a pretty good run for a couple of years, but we're getting a few injuries at the moment, and we're really diligent around how we both rehab them, but how we prepare players, and that worm will turn. We'll get some guys back, and hopefully we'll have less injuries going forward.
How fortunate is Andy Otten at the moment, given he comes into the side when Hampton's injured and then Hardigan goes down the same side?
Well, look, it was fantastic for Andy. Obviously, he had a little bit of interrupted at the end of pre-season. He had a really good pre-season, and then just towards the end, he ran into a little problem with his Achilles. And for him to come back, play one game with Samfil, and then he stepped in last week and performed really well. So with Kyle going out, clearly that gives him an inside running into a back spot.
Do you like McGovern down back?
Well, it's something we're looking at. I mean, I always talk about adding flexibility to the team, and we know that he can play obviously forward, but he can also play back, and he's done some good roles for us in the last few weeks.
Was that a bit because you were a bit obviously with Hardo's injury in the Sydney game, but also maybe because you've been maybe a bit too tall up forward?
Not really. It's just probably the way the game flowed for us, and the way we felt we could potentially get an advantage was by having him back there. So that was just how it played out. And again, it's nice to be able to build some flexibility, as I said, and certainly for players, it's important that they just don't become, I can play one spot. And we're pretty strong on trying to make sure guys can play multiple roles. And for Gov, that's a good opportunity for him. He's done it well.
Can you see Mitch playing a similar role as his brother Jeremy, as does at West Coast?
I haven't probably thought that far down the track, but he's not a similar type of player. He's slightly different to his brother, but he certainly reads the game really well. And as you could see on the weekend when he was down there, he had some impact, which was good.
You're able to do that because you're blessed for forwards, Don. I mean, is there a case that by taking one bloke out of the forward line and chucking him back as an elite forward, you sort of create a problem at one end?
Well, you can do, and it depends on your mix and blend. Obviously, with Taylor, Josh, and Tom down there, you've got some three forwards who are very good and play their role really well. So Mitch in there adds another component. It's just a matter of on the day and in the game, what's the best blended mix, and what's the team require, what's the game calling for. That's probably why the changes are made.
You played Tom Lynch the same way you played Buddy, where Mitch would sort of sit in that hole. I know Geelong did the same thing in Dixon. It seems to be a trend where
haven't really spoken about that as yet. We'll discuss that probably later this afternoon, tomorrow, before we finalise the team.
Are you still comfortable playing, say, 4 or 5 talls, even if commentary says that, oh, that's too many?
You're talking about forward or?
Forwards, yeah.
Yeah, look, I think there's a tipping point.
Yeah.
We want to keep that blend and balance of having some aerial targets and some guys that can give some real presence, ahead of the ball, but keeping our pressure on. And that's always the trade-off. Is that the taller you get, you lose a little bit of ground zip. So we're just managing that. And it's a little bit dependent upon opposition, availability of personnel, and that was what was great to see those guys come in last week and play the way they did. It just gives us a bit more flex in that space.
Is Darcy Fogarty sort of still in the mix, or would you like him to, show you a few things in the SANFL for a couple?
No, he's still very much in the mix. It's opportunity as his first game of SANFL he's played for us. He's been AFL or emergency, if you like, for the first 4 weeks. So opportunity for him to go back and play. And it's important these guys who have been in and out of the team a little bit get some continuity of playing. So he got an opportunity to run around the weekend, and we'll see what the side looks like this week. Clearly, if all of our tools are available, it's probably going to be harder for him. But he's building and he's learning as an AFL player, which is great.
What have you learned the last fortnight about your boys, Don?
Last fortnight, well, we've had 2 contrasting days, haven't we? We had a really poor night against Collingwood, followed by a really strong night against Sydney. So, for me, it's probably the key thing is that the 22 fundamentally didn't really change. It came down to the effort that we brought, and clearly against Sydney, our effort was really strong, and that's going to be the important thing this week for us, is that we start to really build consistency around how we play. I think we've been a little inconsistent this year, and a great challenge this week to come out and play to that same level. To get the result we need.
What's different about the Gold Coast this year? Why are they playing better?
Well, from a coach viewpoint, they've changed, and they bring in Stewie Dew, who's clearly brought a methodology and a style of play, and they've got some more maturity of some of their players. So they're playing some good footy at the moment. They're sitting on 3 and 2, and as they keep saying in this comp, there's no easy games, and we get another good test.
What's
this
the greatest
Saturday night.
challenge or the greatest threat that they bring?
Well, they've got sort of threats across the lines. I mean, they're pretty strong through the ruck, and Witts is a pretty effective ruckman. They're a strong clearance team, and they've got some dangerous forwards with Day and Lynch down there, as well as some small forwards who can hit the scoreboard. So, they're a side who's won some games this year and played some good footy. They've had one bad game, but as we're seeing in the comp this year, there's not too many teams yet who haven't had a bad day, and that's the evenness of it. So, we've got to prepare for their very best, and we think good, strong forward line and midfielders that can generate the ball and win clearance.
How do you drive that effort, Don? Just back on that point for a sec. I mean, you're kicking, you hit a target, goal kicking, you put it through. How does effort go missing?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. It's probably a little bit of, obviously some mentality around it, as well as our training and our intensity of training, and that's what we focus on, is really what we can control, and that's our preparation. So we'll get ourselves prepared this week, have a good training session tomorrow, get our mindset right, ready to attack them on Saturday night.
So what do you do as a coach then when you sense the effort's off? Is there anything you can do?
Well, it's difficult at times, from an effort viewpoint. That's it comes down to players. It's for us probably making sure the environment's right. And this is as we're finding, this game is a demanding game. It's week in, week out. It's constant. And as I said, you look at the results over the weekend, and I'm pretty sure that last week we were sitting there going, well, what happened there following what had been a couple of good performances, and I think that's just going to be the flow of the year. The quicker we can get into consistency around those areas, the better, which allows us to play our style, play our way, and build some real confidence around getting some results.
Satisfying proving a few people wrong after the Collingwood game then?
Oh, it's not really. That's not what we do. For us, it was more about returning to the style of play we want to play, and we understand quite clearly what creates winning for us. And we were disappointed in ourselves, if you like, against Collingwood. Really pleasing the response that the players produced. It just goes to show, the pride they have in their performance and what they expect of not only themselves but each other. So it was great to get a quick response. Now it's about building on that and actually, moving forward with another win this week to consolidate playing good footy.
Big game 100. Sorry, just one from the cheap seats. Game 100 for Otten if he plays. That a story of endurance for him, I guess.
Yeah, it has been a long journey for Andy, and it's it's a credit to his persistence, if you like, and perseverance. I mean, I'm sure there's times throughout the trip that he would have wondered where it was going. 2 knee recons and and a lot of missed games, and spent a lot of time in rehab. And it just goes to show that perseverance does really tell in the end. So assuming he gets selected, great for Andy, and it'll be a great reward for the effort he's put in over a fair period of time at the footy club.
He's a great team man, is he?
Yeah, like he's really well respected by the team. He's got a good feel for the game. So he's a guy that really can communicate really strongly on the ground, because he understands the game and the flow of the game. And even on the weekend, he comes in and he's just able to add a little bit in the back half, just in terms of our organisation and structural things. So, no, it'll be a good night for Andy if he gets selected, which he should.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.